Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. It is 10:13 on a Thursday morning. So hope everyone's doing good. It is February 19th. So yeah, um, unfortunately, it's been a little bit sad here at Film Fanatic headquarters. My kitty Lucy, who I've had for she have to put her under today. She turned 21 years old. She's almost 100 years old in cat's years. She got really sick this past week. Had a bunch of problems with getting around. Wasn't able to move around at all and stopped basically eating and drinking. So I took her to the vet yesterday, and I had a really bad feeling. So yeah, that's where we're at here. So she has been a part of my life for a very, very long time, and she's actually been in a lot of these videos. If you look through the videos on the Film Fanatic page, the channel, you'll see her in a lot of the videos. So yeah, I've always been, I've always loved animals and stuff, obviously, but and growing up with my immediate family, we always had cats. Sorry, we always had dogs. We always had mostly Doberman Pinschers. And for years, I was never really a cat person, and I had had some experiences with cats where I didn't really like them. And then Lucy cured me of all of that many years ago. She was a part of a big litter of cats that uh, eventually, well, died an untimely death because they were kind of neglected for, they weren't taken care of very well by my girlfriend at the time. But Lucy and I had a pretty strong bond and got through a lot of stuff. It's crazy. If she was able, I always thought like if she was able to write a book, she would have a pretty serious story to tell because man, we went through some stuff. So yeah, I've never had that that deep of a bond with an animal like her. I mean, I basically think she was my felt like she was my kid. So yeah. But again, thanks again for the support through this channel and keeping this thing going. And so, keeping with the death theme, I did a show yesterday, and I just uploaded it about the passing of the uh, iconic, one of the greatest actors of all time, Robert Duvall. Needed to, death is a normal thing, a regular occurrence, and it's part of the cycle. And people, unfortunately, people come and go all the time. But there are some people that, really are impactful and people that really leave a mark. Um, I think, with a lot of these artists that have passed away, Robert Duvall, like to me, that's his immortality. I don't really believe in anything other than that. So I think there's experiences that we can have, in our world that are maybe a little bit beyond our explanations. But as far as a afterlife, um, I don't believe that is literally true. But that's just my own opinion. But so I just uploaded a video. I recorded it yesterday about Robert Duvall and the impact that he's had. I mean, just so far reaching, so influential, in some of my favorite movies of all time, and also my favorite movie of all time, The Godfather. But yesterday I heard about another actor who I have always loved, and again had just a really long career, really diverse career, um, especially in horror films, and that is Tom Noonan. I was really surprised about hearing about his passing. I had just seen him in a werewolf movie. I think it's called. Oh man, what is the name of it? I can't remember. Oh, shit, I wish I could remember it. It's on my shelf. I have a Blu-ray, and it's a more. It came out a few years back, but it's a pretty good werewolf movie. And I think it's called Late Phases, or yeah, Late Phases, and it's a kind of contemporary werewolf film. But Tom Noonan was in that movie, and as far as I know, I believe it came out maybe 8 to 10 years ago. Late Phases, and it's a really good movie. It's a really good low budget werewolf movie, and the werewolf genre is my favorite of all time. And he's also been in other horror films that are great, and he's played some iconic roles. And so I was really surprised and pretty saddened by it. So I wanted to do a tribute show to Tom Noonan, who I think was, just left a pretty incredible legacy as an actor. Um, I mean, he had a long career in film, but then also, television. Um, he was involved with many different aspects. He was an actor. He was also a director. Um, probably my favorite role that Tom Noonan was in growing up. In this movie, I was just talking about. Well, I got home last night, and a buddy of mine had messaged me about Tom Noonan passing away, and so we were talking about that, and he was mentioning one of his favorite films with Tom Noonan was RoboCop 2, which I haven't seen in years, and I would love to see it again. He plays the villain in it, and then I had mentioned, yeah, I think my favorite Tom Noonan film was Michael Mann's The Manhunter, uh, and that came out in '86, and it's essentially like the first attempt of the first kind of film. It was directed by Michael Mann on based on the Michael or Thomas Harris's novel The Red Dragon, and which is such an awesome film. It came out before Silence of the Lambs. The Silence of the Lambs like franchise is, to me, is like super mixed. I really really love Manhunter. It was the first movie of those books that was ever made, and they they did such a fantastic job. And also Tom Noonan. I mean, I think he plays one of the most kind of terrifying roles. Uh, he plays such a he plays the Tooth Fairy. Um, and when I remember seeing this movie when it came out, it terrified it totally terrified me as a kid. I remember it was the first time I had ever heard Iron Butterfly with the infamous song "Inagata Davida," and Tom Noonan as the serial killer in this film was just so utterly terrifying. And I remember as a kid, it gave me nightmares. It was one of the first movies I ever saw that really legitimately scared me. And his character, because it wasn't like, before that obviously I had seen it was probably, the first movie about a serial killer that I had ever seen. And up until that point, of course I was into, the Universal monsters and Dracula and all those things, and monster creature feature monster movies, fantasy, and fiction. And so that seeing Mindhunter was such even more terrifying thing, because it was the first time I ever, saw a movie. Obviously, it's a fictional story, but it was about a real thing. And I remember seeing this movie as a kid and just being so scared by Tom Noonan's character. And it came out in '86, so I was like nine, 9 or 10, 9 years old maybe. And it just left such a deep impression on me. And the thing too for me, it was this revelation to a degree, because I was like, wait, these serial killers, like, like that he's playing in this movie are actually real. Like these monsters actually do exist. And yeah, to me, it was like kind of this landmark, pivotal thing for me because I was like, wait, no, real life can be way more terrifying than pure escapism or fantasy. And when I remember like realizing, wait, people like this actually exist in our world, I was like, oh my god. So it just had this deeper resonance to me and for me. He's got one of just his presence, Tom Noonan's presence, is so like his portrayal of Tooth Fairy, the serial killer in this movie, is so twisted, and he's like there's something about the way he's able to portray this character where he's also like he has like a certain kind of sensitivity. Like it was interesting because I remember he was such a monster, but I had could kind of sympathize with him to a degree because he definitely had some human traits, and you could see, in this, you know, deep down that there was something else going on with this guy, and he did have a lot of emotion, even though he was a psychopath. So, and he had this vulnerability about him too, and it was just like it made it even more terrifying, kind of a complex character. And I think even to this day, it's probably my favorite Tom Noonan role that he's ever done. I have I have a really beautiful DVD version of Mindhunter. I don't know if I can't remember. I don't think I have it on Blu-ray. No, I don't. It would be great to get an upgrade. I don't think I do. I might. I can't remember, but I definitely have a really beautiful um, DVD version that has tons of special features. Um, and director Michael Mann, for a while back in the day, he was a pretty incredible director. He made a lot of great movies, and he always had this very unique style. Like his movies were always kind of very heightened and very he had a very unique kind of heightened reality to a lot of his films. And this came out probably right in the time when he was like really coming into his own as a director. And yeah, fantastic movie. I definitely would love to get an upgrade of mine of Mindhunter or Manhunter. Sorry, Manhunter. I'm thinking of David Fincher's TV show, but Manhunter, amazing, amazing movie, terrifying, truly scary. Also, he was in which again I want to revisit RoboCop 2, which was the sequel to the iconic masterpiece that was RoboCop. That came out in 1980, or sorry, 1990. I got to revisit that movie. Another movie that I thought Tom Noonan was just so great in is The Last Action Hero, which I think is, really one of the best was one of the best Schwarzenegger movies. And he is Tom Noonan is so fantastic in that movie. I really like that movie. It's a really original story, and it has elements of horror in it. It's an action movie. It's a great Schwarzenegger movie that came out in 1993. Um, and Tom Noonan is really kind of known for this movie and kind of beloved for this movie as the Monster Squad, and which came out in '87. Again, that's a amazing movie. He plays Frankenstein in that movie. That's a movie I have not seen. I remember seeing it quite a few times as a kid, but it's been forever since I've seen it, and that would be a really awesome movie to revisit without a doubt. Pretty cool movie. A lot of kids, well, people my age that are not kids anymore, but grew up with that movie, and that was kind of like the introduction to seeing their first time seeing Tom Noonan. Another movie that I think is really really awesome. I have this on. I have two different versions of this movie. Um, on DVD and Blu-ray, and that is The House of the Devil, and from 2009, which was, I do believe, it was the debut of Ty West, who is a phenomenal director in the horror genre. He, most recently completed the X trilogy films, which I really love, and Ty West, I think, is a really awesome director, and I do like him a lot, and I do believe, could be wrong, but I think House of the Devil might have been his first movie, and it's a killer horror movie. Tom Noonan is so great in this film, really, really, really great, a really awesome movie. Speaking of Michael Mann, who also directed, yeah, and I have The House of the Devil on Blu-ray and DVD. And going back to the director of Manhunter, Michael Mann, another movie that he was in, which I think is a really great movie, Heat, which came out in 1995. Really, a really cool movie. Um, Cindershea, New York, 2008, which is another movie. I have never seen that movie, which is really weird, but I always hear that it's. I have it on DVD, but I've just never watched it for some reason. But I've always heard that that movie is really good. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I believe, is in that. Another movie that he was in that I always loved as a kid, Wolfen from 81, pretty old school, pretty cool movie. Also a movie, and the different actors and caliber of directors that he worked with, pretty astounding. The Pledge with Jack Nicholson, 2001. Knockaround Guys in 2001 as well. Really diverse career. Um, The Roost in 2005. Seraphim Falls in 2006. The Wife in 95. Collision Course in 89. Oh, yeah, and the werewolf movie that I was talking about in the beginning of the show. I had the wrong title. Late Phases. Really cool werewolf film. It came out in 2014. A later, even though it's not like modern right now, it's 2014 is quite a few years ago now, but really cool and interesting, low budget, kind of low budget exploitation werewolf movie. And Tom Noonan is really great in it. He plays this priest who's actually a werewolf in it. Similar to Silver Bullet, but really good movie. I have that on Blu-ray. I think I do. Is it Blu-ray? Yeah, it is Blu-ray. Very cool movie though. Very, very cool. Easy Money in '83. Uh, The Alphabet Killer 2008. Best Defense 84. Wonderstruck 2017. Gloria 80. FX 86. That movie was always very cool. The Man with One Red Shoe with Tom Hanks. Sorry, 85. The Astronaut's Wife in '99 with Johnny Depp. Eight Legged Freaks 2002. Um, yeah, just a huge amount of films. Like it's just wild. Um, yeah, huge list of films. Where the Wild Things Are 2009. I mean, Jesus. Constant Forge 2000. Red Wind 91. Rage 1980. Some old school horror movies, Wolfen especially. But yeah, I just wanted to do a video making sure that I talk about Tom Noonan because I really loved his work. I think he was one of those actors like he's been in some movies that you could say are probably not really particularly all that awesome, but I think he Tom Noonan had a certain kind of presence and charisma that he he could be in a bad movie and still be really great and make a movie that is not again not particularly that good, but he would usually just give such a great performance in whatever he was in that it made for you know a, an awesome time. So yeah, really great films. And I so like to kind of sum it all up, I definitely feel like My two favorite films that he was in was definitely, without a doubt, Manhunter. Yeah, definitely, definitely my favorite. And I really like, and it's again one of his later films, but I definitely think The House of the Devil is really great. I thought he was awesome, and he's generally scary in that film. And probably the Monster Squad, going back even more old school. So yeah, so thanks again, and check out some Tom Noonan films. Peace.